The final injury report before the Cowboys take on the Lions is out, and we need to break down what this means for Thursday night. We've got 4 players to monitor, though really 2 of them are the main concerns heading into this game. What's up, Cowboys? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Cowboys. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about America's team. Let's start with the guys who've been ruled out. Trevon Diggs will not be activated. The Cowboys are going to give him more time, which honestly was expected at this point. Tyler Guyton also won't be available. No surprise there either. Then we've got 2 questionable. Amique Hooker, who I think is more probable than not, but it's not a guarantee, and Jadeveon Clowney, who really does seem to be a true game-time decision. Good news, though, all the other guys who were on the injury report earlier this week, players like Pickens, Deron Bland, Donovan Wilson, they all have no designation, so those guys will play. Now let's talk about the big one, and this is what we're going to have to monitor all the way up to kickoff. Jadeveon Clowney. He did get a limited practice on Wednesday, and that gives him a shot to play against the Lions on Thursday, but I really do think this is a true game-time decision for Clowney and the Cowboys as he battles that hamstring injury that popped up on Thanksgiving against the Chiefs, or somewhere in between that and the first practice. This is a player the Cowboys desperately want out there. He's been a very good edge setter against the run, which is crucial because the Lions really like to run the ball to the outside. They really would like to have Clowney out there. He's also been very good as a pass rusher this year. I think he's benefiting some from Donovan Ezericu drawing more attention at the edge spot, frankly. If he cannot go, it leaves them thin, but it specifically leaves them thin in terms of run stoppers. Dante Fowler is not a great run stopper, never has been. James Houston is very light to handle that role. You could try some Osa Odigizua reps out there or roll down a linebacker and do some true 34 stuff with like DeMarvion Overshone on the outside. There's some room for flexibility there, but the player you're going to count on more is Sam Williams, who is supposed to be the helpful run-setting edge, although he hasn't exactly been that over the course of his career, especially this year. He's been a bit too prone to jumping inside, but has made some big-time plays in the last couple weeks, and that's going to have to continue. But if Clowney can't go, it's a big loss for the Cowboys up front. No surprise that Tyler Guyton is out against the Lions. He did not practice at all this week. It was always going to be a pretty extreme long shot with the high ankle sprain, just the typical timeline for recovery there. I wouldn't rule him out playing next week for the Cowboys because you get that 10-day window of extra recovery time. But I think this week was always pushing it. Even next week is maybe pushing it a little bit. I think that's 50-50 at best, frankly. In his absence, Nathan Thomas will once again start at left tackle for the Cowboys. He seems to be much more comfortable on the left side of the offensive line. A lot of times he got beat. A lot of his not as good run blocking moments really have come on the right side. The Lions have Aiden Hutchinson. Hutchinson does move around. I would bet they try to put him in advantageous positions against both Terrence Steele and Nathan Thomas. The Cowboys will have their hands full with Hutchinson, and they've got some other good play from edges like Alquadin Mohammed, who rightfully was written off by every single NFL team, but has actually found a nice little career in Detroit.
The only other player who was on that Cowboys injury report with a designation at least is Amique Hooker, questionable for Hooker, and he was limited all week, and normally that means you're going to be able to play. I think because it's back spasms and those can come and go, he probably has battled those a little bit here. I think that is a big factor in why the Cowboys did not make Hooker a no designation player. I would anticipate that he plays, but it's a back spasm. You got to travel up to Detroit. That's kind of a long plane ride. Maybe it flares up on him. So we'll monitor Amique Hooker, but I do think he will play. It's the Clowney one that is going to be the biggest game time decision in this one. Now let's talk about this Cowboys offense, because this has been a unit that's been their bread and butter all season long. They scored 31 points against the Chiefs last Thursday. They put up 24 against Philadelphia. You look at this Detroit defense, it's not the unit that it was a year ago. They've had a bunch of injuries, and I'll go through a couple of them right now. Terion Arnold, their best corner, he's not going to be playing in this game. He actually just had shoulder surgery, so he's out for the year. Kirby Joseph, he's not going to play in this game. He just got back to practice. He had a DNP on Tuesday. Seems like they're going to hold him out. Their defensive line, they've had a bunch of injuries there. Aiden Hutchinson still playing at a really high level, but this is a team that plays a ton of man coverage, and without Terion Arnold, their outside corners are Amique Robertson and DJ Reed, who can play in the slot and on the outside. This is a major advantage for the Cowboys offense. DJ Reed himself also just came back from an injury. I think last week may have been his first week back, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, a beat up secondary, a man coverage team that has lost one of their main man cover guys, and then you add in the injury to Joseph, a beat-up group that relies heavily on being able to bully wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. They don't quite have the same bullies that they had last year. No matter what, you're going to get a DJ Reed or a Robertson on CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens. And not only the size advantage, but the athleticism advantage is going to be pretty serious. And that's going to be the key in this one because they have Aiden Hutchinson, who played really well the last time they played him. And outside of that, it's just a bunch of guys. Aiden himself has not quite had the last few weeks that he had earlier in the season. He's had something like 3 sacks in the last 5 games or something like that. And I think it's because he's getting a lot of attention now. So yeah, I do think that he's an incredible top 3 defensive end in the league type player, but he's only one person. And there isn't a lot of other help for him along that line. I think Alim McNeill is back, but I don't think he's quite the same player as he was last year. I think he's still beat up from his injury. One of the things I'm going to be interested in seeing is that Green Bay had almost no success running on early downs against the Lions on Thanksgiving. Can the Cowboys do it? Javonte Williams has been incredible this year. Their offensive line is a lot healthier than what Green Bay's was. So if you can run the ball on early downs and get yourself into favorable down to distances where it's 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, and now you can use the play action, you don't have to be in these obvious passing situations, the Cowboys' run game is going to be massive if they want to win this game. This is not the most talented Detroit defense that we've seen over the last couple of years, but they are very aggressive in a good way. They play hard, they rally to the football, and we shouldn't expect anything less from a Dan Campbell team, but I think the way that you beat them is by blocking it up and maybe doing more 7-man protections and letting Pickens and CeeDee try to make plays down the field. It's a lot like Kansas City, where they're pretty good, everybody's a pretty good tackler, but they're going to try to keep everything in front of you, but if you can beat them over the top, that's how you create explosive plays. That's how you can win this game. The Cowboys have very favorable matchups on both sides of the ball. I think if the Lions were healthy, it would be a different story, but the Cowboys wide receivers against this Lions secondary and the Cowboys defensive tackles against this beat-up Lions offensive line should be enough to at least keep this game close, if not win it. Right now, the Cowboys have a 23% chance of making the playoffs. They lose, that number drops down to 9%. But if they win, back up to 41%, which is quite a number. This is the biggest game of the season, and I think we've got a real shot here.